going to get to the picks for this weekend, and I need to see if I have my sheet here. If I have everything else here. Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's begin with college football. And we're going to start with a Friday game. And ladies and gentlemen, I am going to pull up my DraftKings page. And once again, the only reason why I use DraftKings is because I can share the screen for you. Here we go. And this is part of the reason why I share the screen is I can make this into a segment on YouTube for you guys. Go to YouTube / at the Philly Guy Speaks as well. Here we go. So I'm going to begin with a Friday night game. Now, I've been riding Wyoming a couple of times. I got a nice upset win over Fresno State, and I got blasted out of the building by Boise State. UNLV appears to be the real deal in the conference, and maybe I overestimated Wyoming. Wyoming had a ugly loss there to Boise State. And this is the late game on tomorrow night, Friday night. So you may be looking at a game that ends about 2:30 in the morning. Wyoming can't afford to lose this game. If they lose this game, they're definitely out of the running for the conference, because the way that the conference is set up now, because the NCAA changed everything up, top two teams in the conference play for the title. So it looks like right now it's going to be Fresno or UNLV and Air Force. Air Force is 5-0 in conference after they took a bad loss to Army. And you know, when two military academies play each other, throw the records out the window. But UNLV takes on Wyoming here. And you know, they had a win over Colorado State, Wyoming 24-15 last week. New Mexico blew out New Mexico down in Albuquerque 56-14. But Colorado State has been everybody's thorn in the side. They were a thorn in the side to Colorado when we were still thinking that Colorado was the best thing since sliced bread. Colorado almost beat UNLV in Vegas. They almost beat Wyoming and Laramie. But I think there's something really going on with UNLV that's a good thing. And I am going to take UNLV at -5 at -110. And let's lock that in here. I will go with UNLV with a late Friday night game over Wyoming. Off of the strip there. Then we're going to go to Happy Valley. And I know what you're saying, Joe, I thought you hate Penn State. I do. I hate them with a passion. I'm the type of person where if I had kids and they wanted to go to Penn State, I would disown them. And the reason why is because I have zero tolerance for child molestation, anything like that. I've talked about that many times where I've not been a victim, but I could have been a victim because I've crossed paths with at least two priests that were, if not convicted, they were accused. So either way, Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite. Michigan has their own set of problems with everything that's going on with the sign stealing scandal and everything. And if there's anything that the NCAA wants, that the Big Ten wants, they don't want this controversy hanging till after Thanksgiving when they play Ohio State. They don't want this hanging beyond that game, in my opinion, because of the fact you have a team here that seems to turn into the bad boy team of college football. Harbaugh wouldn't cooperate with the investigation during the offseason, which led to his 3-game suspension. Now they're sign stealing. Now they're saying other teams are stealing their signs. Now, here's the difference. And I haven't read the whole article, and it confuses me because I don't know who's confusing, who stole Michigan signs. Greg Schiano accused Michigan in a veiled way, and you look back, it's like, oh, he was on to something. So if there's anything that the NCAA, that the Big Ten wants, they want a team to beat Michigan. As much as I do not want Penn State to win, I'm going to say it right now. As much as I don't want Penn State to win, I think Penn State's going to do the Big Ten a solid. They're going to do the NCAA a solid. And I think Penn State upsets Michigan here because you have to begin to wonder how much of all this is going to be a distraction to the players. And in this case, I think that even though the Penn State coach is horrific against top 10 teams, I think this is his time to get a win and break that schneid. And in this case, I am going to take Penn State money line at plus 164. And Penn State will pull off that upset, even though I told you every time I get the chance, I will not be watching that Penn State game. Penn State is banned from my home. Now, if somebody else's home, yeah, I'll watch. Why? Their house, their rules. But at my house, no Penn State. But I will still pick Penn State to win this game on the money line at plus 164. Next, we're going to go with a 3:30 game, and this is the big story that I hinted at here. There you see the James Madison game. James Madison, they're trying to get into they're trying to get their 2-year transition period eliminated because they have a top 25 team, and they could be the group of 5 team with the best record if they were in the college football playoff standings rankings, which are not because they're in that transition period. But we're going to go out to Iowa. And ladies and gentlemen, your eyes are not deceiving you here. That over-under is correct. That is not a first quarter over-under. That is not a halftime over-under. That is a game total of 28 points. And this is a story from ESPN. The odds makers are going to a new low to get a gauge on defensive-minded Iowa. The over-under total on the game Saturday against Rutgers dipped to a historic low this week at sportsbooks. As of late Thursday morning, and as you see right now, the total sat at a consensus 28, the lowest of any college football game since at least 2000, according to an ESPN Stats and Information Research. Barring any late line movement, Rutgers, Iowa will be the first game with an over-under total of less than 30 in ESPN's odds database. Now, I do want to share one thing here, and I can get rid of this. I have a bad case of diarrhea thing because I mean, if you saw all the windows, all the tabs I have open, you'd be like, oh my god, just like your ADD brain. Um, I am looking for this here because I do want to share this as well, and this is how inept Iowa is as an offense and is totally an allegedly great team on defense. And let me see if I find this here. Of course, I got to go through about 10 days worth of stuff here. There we go. Okay. And this is from Mac and Cheese Face. I think this was a Reddit story because it looks like it's a Reddit article or a Reddit post. And I'm going to share this briefly and I'll go back to the DraftKings page here. Okay. Iowa defeated Northwestern in Wrigley Field last weekend, 10-7. There were 6 games. There were 6 Cub games where more runs were scored than points between the Cubs and their opponents this year. And I'm going to go from the 6th highest to the highest. Cubs beat the Giants September 5th, 11-8. Pirates beat the Cubs 13-7 on the 20th of September. Cubs won over the Nationals, or should we say the Bears over the Commanders 17-3 on July 18th. The Bears beat the Bengals. I mean, the Cubs beat the Reds 16-6 on August 2nd. Cubs beat the Mariners 14-9 on April 11th. And the Cubs brought out the whooping stick and they beat the Reds 20-9 on August 1st. So, as you see, there's 6 games that were more runs than total points in Iowa Northwestern last Saturday. Now, everybody is pounding the under here. Now, I'm the type of person that will go against the grain here. And I'm going to do that here as I go back to our pick here. Everybody is picking the under. I think it's like 80% right now. Now, since 2000, there have been 6 games with an over-under of less than 34, and Iowa has been involved in 5 of them. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to go against the grain here. Now, if this were a pari-mutuel thing, I would probably get probably 5-1 odds. But because they adjust, because the way that sportsbooks are, they're trying to counter projected loss and try to make money to get bets on the other side and everything. They're trying to try to make some money, but try to negate the losses that they have in store for them. And sportsbooks are probably going to take a major hit if this goes under. I'm going to go against the grain here, only because you got to figure somebody has to score. It'll probably be another 10-7 game on my luck, but why not? I'm going over 28 on that game, Rutgers and Iowa. So that's my 3rd pick. And then the final college game, we're going to go late night. And let's go back to Boise. They gave me a hard time last week. They are taking on New Mexico, who got trounced by UNLV. I don't see much difference here. So I am going to take I'm going to take Boise State here, minus 26.5. It's a ton of points. But you know what? New Mexico is a bad football team. Boise is a much better team at home than they are on the road. And I should have known that when I was going through all my picks a couple of weeks ago. And so those are my picks for the pros. So it's minus 26.5 at minus 110. So my college picks: Friday night, UNLV minus 5 at minus 110 over Wyoming. Penn State, I'm going for the upset here, plus 164 over Michigan. Rutgers, Iowa, over 28. Iowa's got to go over sometime. And then Boise State, minus 26.5 at minus 110. And if you have the huevos to pick those 4 games and put them in a parlay, right now it's 1736. I'm not gonna count the parlay towards my stats here, which I never got around to doing. But those are my 4 official picks, the 4 singles. So there we go. So now let's go to the National Football League. And just to give you guys an update here, Ron gave an update here, Captain Ron. And, I wish I wasn't streaming tonight, because I would love to see Jason Kelsey in action here on the Amazon set. I mean, from what I can tell, he's holding his own there. Great dude. So, by the way, the Eagles are the second choice for winning the Super Bowl, plus 550. Kansas City is plus 475. We mentioned both those teams because they are playing each other next Monday night. So let's begin with the Germany game. And they got a great game. Well, 2 great teams, Miami and Kansas City. Thought it was going to be a blowout. Kansas City allowed Miami to come back. Well, they're getting the London treatment this game. Indy and New England. Now, I think that when the NFL did this, they thought, no way New England can be 2-7 at this point. Indy's rebuilding, but maybe they get, they got a star quarterback that they just drafted and blah, blah, blah. These things happen. But Indy's only a 2-point favorite here. And New England is dog water, as my friend SJ would say. I'm going to take Indy minus 2 at minus 108. Indy, I think Indy will romp on this game, because they're horrible. And we'll go with that. Next, we are going to go to Cincinnati. And everybody loves CJ Stroud right now. And right now, he is the anti-Ohio State quarterback in the NFL. He had an amazing comeback against Tampa Bay last week. But Houston is facing a Cincinnati team that is getting going here. We were all worried early in the year. It was just that Joe Burrow needed time to heal up with his this calf injury. And he may have came back a couple of weeks too soon. And, I would have done the same thing. But I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati is going to take it to Houston early and often. And this is also my survivor pool pick because I am in week 10 for the first time in a long time. And I won SJ's contest, which he had on ESPN. Well, technically I won, but nobody congratulated me or anything. But whatever. But I'm trying to see if I can do all 18 weeks, and I saving a couple of teams. I wasted a couple of teams that probably could have used in the second half of the year, but hey, it happens. But I think Cincinnati's going to roll on this game here. Give the 6.5. Cincinnati will win by at least 2 touchdowns here. I'll take Cincinnati minus 6.5, also at minus 108. And I gave this away when Rock and Reese was on with me, and you're starting to get into this area of the spread. And I always tell you, when there's a 1-point spread like this, why pay minus 112 for a 1-point spread when you can just go money line for minus 105 for Tennessee here? I'm not playing that game, but if you're interested in taking Tennessee, why go here and spend $12 and 12% on a vig when you can just go with a 5% vig outright? Because the worst thing you can do on here is Tampa Bay wins by 1 and you push. But if you win the game, which this is telling you Tennessee, in my opinion, that's telling you Tennessee is going to win. Why go there when you can go to minus 105 and have less of a vig on that? A vig is the percentage of what they take out of that wager. So, but that's not a game I'm picking. You're starting to get into the area where a team can lose by 2, and if they have a 3-point spread, they're going to win. You're going to win. But I'm not doing that. Maybe it's just because the Jets laid an egg. Maybe it's because the MILF hunter, Zach Wilson, went back to last year's Zach Wilson. Maybe that's the case. But maybe you can just say, when they got that punt return for a touchdown that near the end of the first quarter, that was the knockout punch for the game. I think that may be something that gets the LA Chargers back on track. Now, they're probably not going to catch Kansas City in the standings, and that's fine. Sometimes you need to, sometimes it's good just to get in as a wild card. We talked about Detroit, how they have a fairly soft schedule. But I think this is a game that's going to be a hiccup for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Chargers on the money line at plus 130. I really like the Chargers to win this outright Sunday. So LA Chargers money line plus 130. Next, we kind of talked this as well. And I usually avoid the large lines unless I'm really thinking this will be a blowout. Now, like I said, if Danny Dimes was the guy under center Sunday, I think that they have a bit of revenge on their mind. I think the Giants are they may even be in tank mode, but I don't think it's necessarily a tank mode because they're just trying to get the first pick. I think they're now in tank mode because Danny Dimes is out for the year. Tyrod Taylor's out for this game. Tony DeVito, or whatever his name is, I call him Danny DeVito. He's starting this week. He's not going to know what hit him with the Dallas defense, even though the Eagles did get 28 points off the Cowboys. I think this is a perfect game for the Cowboys. It won't be 40-0, but they will cover that 17 points. So maybe like 35-7 or something like that. So it's a ton of points, but give the 17 points here. Dallas should win this easily. So minus 17 at minus 108. And and here we have that situation again I was mentioning with Tennessee and Tampa Bay. Now, the one thing I will say here is if you think the Jets are going to win this game, why go money line minus 118 when you can go -1 at minus 112? Because you'll get a little more money out of this because it's a 12% VIG versus an 18% VIG. Or if you're looking to bet the Raiders, why bet +1 at minus 108 when you can go money line 102? And that's what I'm going to do here because I think having Josh McDaniel gone and Antonio Pierce bringing in a breath of fresh air into the Vegas locker room, you could see that they were celebrating the win. Maybe they were celebrating a little too hard, but it's when you have such a horrific year, you tuned out the coach, and you realize how horrible he was as a head coach for the second time. I think it's a breath of fresh air for them. Now they're obviously probably not going anywhere, but they can actually they can probably do some damage and play some spoiler roles here over the remaining 9 weeks of the season. Vegas still has a whole bunch of issues, but I think here this will probably fall into the under 37 category, but I think Las Vegas will win this game outright. So I'm going to take Vegas minus 102. Remember, why take the +1 at minus 108 when you got the money line at minus 102? Why pay 8% for a win when you can pay 2? So my picks for the NFL for this weekend: the Colts -2 at minus 108, the Bengals -6.5 at minus 108, Chargers on the money line +130, Dallas -17 at minus 108, and the LA Raiders money line -102.